Ironside will not be seen tonight, so we may bring you the following special program.
Word Balloon is brought to you by the League of Word Balloon Listeners. It's the nation's second longest running comic convention. It's Ithacon, April 27th and 28th at the campus center of Ithaca College. Tickets are just $20, $5 for kids 17 and under. Order tickets now at ithacon.org. Featured guests include the legendary Walt and Louise Simonson, DC comic vets Shelley and Philip Bond, Dean Haspiel, Mike Gold, the classic Spider-Man and Superman writer Roger Stern, Megaton Man's Dom Simpson, Star Trek's DS9 J.G. Hertzler, and many more. This year we'll have amazing comic publishers like Ahoy Comics, Dynamite, A Wave Blue World, and SHP. There'll be cosplay contests, panels, kids' activities, and more. Plus, Ithacon is offering swag bags for the first 200 attendees to buy tickets. These overstuffed swag bags offer over $30 value in comics, books, and more. It's Ithacon, April 27th and 28th at the campus center of Ithaca College. Order tickets now at ithacon.org. Welcome back, everybody. Time again for Word Balloon, the comic book conversation show. John Suntress here. I'm always happy to welcome Sanford Greene back to Word Balloon. Great to see you, Sanford.
Good to see you, John.
And congratulations, as always. We're going to talk a bit about the return of Bitter Root in a few minutes. But right now, because it's only a couple weeks away from coming out, your fantastic one-shot that you've done with for Marvel with Jonathan Hickman, just titled Doom. Yep. What an epic sci-fi confrontation. I don't know how much is in the solicit, so I'll let you describe as much of the story as you wish, but you gave me a sneak peek, and it is fantastic, man. Congratulations on a great looking book and a great story.
Thanks a lot, John. Yeah, well, without it's only a one-shot, so I can't go too far into what the story entails, but mainly, it's Doom and Valeria versus Galactus. So, what else could you ask for, right? But I think those who read the story, they will see how this came to be. I think that's the cool part about when I came up with the original pitch idea. I pitched it to Tom Brevoort, and I didn't, honestly, it was one of those things where I just wanted to tell this really awesome story about Doom and how his hubris has caused a lot of destruction, but it also is the very thing that can save humanity because of, again, of his hubris. But when I pitched the idea, the original story was not quite what this story is. That's where Mr. Hickman came in and helped to pull some things together and tie up some loose strings, because I'm not as well versed in the current Marvel continuity. I just knew that Doom was always an integral part to the Marvel Universe, and I wanted to tell this story that honestly I was hoping that would be just a great story, one-off story. Truth be told, Marvel, they're using it as kind of a launching point for some other important things. So that to me really is I guess once in a lifetime opportunity, one, to do your dream character to create this story that is going to evolve into other things in the Marvel universe.
That sounds great, man. No, and again, your reputation precedes you, but this is great that you were able to do this. And Hickman is a great collaborator. I've loved his run on Fantastic Four back in the day, and glad to see that he's back in the 616 and having so much fun in it, and the Ultimate Universe as well. The I love the relationship between Valeria and Uncle Doom, as she calls him, and it's great because it's disarming for Doom.
Right.
And I think of all the Richards, he has a soft spot for Valeria,
Right.
and she certainly does for him as well.
Oh, absolutely. It's the story of that one family member that you can connect with. You might be the odd person in the family, but there's always that one person that can connect with you and bridge the gap and humanize, and it humanizes Doom in many ways. Valeria to some degree as well. So yeah, it definitely was one of the things we wanted to pull together was the relationship with those two, and how that relationship really is the conduit for saving the universe.
Yeah, there are familiar tropes as an old reader in the best way that evoke things like Emperor Doom, a fantastic graphic novel from the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
I also think of that What If with the Beyonder. I think it was the Beyonder that has massive cataclysmic Marvel cosmic implications.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, man, I didn't. Again, you were kind enough to let me see it, but I wouldn't want to show more than the cover because obviously we want people to check it out for themselves. But this is a very big story as far as the scope of it.
Yes.
And also, again, who has the audacity to face Galactus but Victor Von Doom, of course.
But Victor Von Doom. And man, wait till you see their first, well, not their first confrontation, but within our story, how the events that has taken place in this story, how it started. That's the part that I'm excited about. Again, it's Doom's hubris that causes a ripple effect, and yeah, we're touching on all of the, or as many of the encounters that they've had throughout Marvel's history. One of my favorites, obviously, Secret Wars. That encounter when I was a kid reading that story, that made me a huge fan off the bat for Doom.
I love it, man, and I can appreciate that. It's yeah, and truly, I think it's always great to see creators like yourself that have something new to say about Doom that maybe hasn't been covered in previous iterations. I know Chris Cantwell. I don't know if you read that recent story that he did, but I think that equally was good. But no, this is for it being a one shot. I'm glad to hear there are implications beyond the story that are coming that will hatch out coming up. But yeah, man, this was a very satisfying read. Definitely.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Well, being this is my first, writing a co-writing venture, it was definitely one of those things where I had enough of the foundation of the story where it was kind of seamless to pull together especially once Jonathan came in and put his take on it. It allowed everything to just really gel together. Interesting story. There was a conversation about making this a longer story, but I just felt like it. Well, for one, I'm just starting out this writing venture, so don't throw me in the deep end so quickly. I don't know if I can handle that just yet, but I definitely felt like I could tell a pretty a grand story in a one shot. And yeah, we're definitely excited about where some of the things that we're touching on in this story that's going to lead to more of what's going to take place in the upcoming Marvel universe.
Do you? And it's funny now that you've gotten your feet wet with this first writing assignment. Do you see a sequel to this story that you would like to tackle at some point?
Well, based on the ending, what do you think? It's like this that was the part that I felt the most satisfied about. Was it was definitely one of those things where it could be one way or the other without going too far into it. So we definitely made it to where, and I think that's what made it even more impactful to make it a one shot, because it really felt like you had enough to say in this story that could easily lead to other things, but you also have this story. So we wanted to try to keep that balance. Again, shouts to the young upstart Hickman. Being being a young upstart, he's pretty talented. I think he's going some places in this industry.
Well, they certainly trust him with the big toys and the
Oh
big
God,
ideas.
yeah.
And yeah, tell me about the collaboration with John, because I mean, he's always blown my mind. I mean, going back to, I remember his original stuff like Nightly News and some of the other Red Wing and a few other things that he's done over the years. But yeah, so you had the germ of the idea.
Mhm.
Tell me about, how you guys massaged this into what we eventually got.
Well, truth be told, I've known Hickman for quite a long time. He lives in the same area that I live in,
Yes.
and he's in South Carolina, and just about 40 minutes away from me. And we've known each other since we were both trying to make it in this industry. So it was just an incredible experience witnessing his meteoric rise in the industry. And we often would talk about, hey, one day we should do something. And obviously, 20 years later, we decided to pull together some resources and do this cool thing here. It was just all about timing. Obviously, he's tremendously busy. He's practically the architect of Marvel, and I have all my stuff going on, but this was the right time, and I think also even the right story. So once I pitched it, we just he immediately knew exactly where I wanted to go with it, and he just kind of put a little more of the I guess the relationship between the two, Doom and Valeria, obviously because of his stories like Secret Wars 2 and even the Future Foundation. All those pieces, is part of what we're doing, what we're putting into the story here as well.
Were you a big Marvel Cosmic reader fan back in the day?
Oh, absolutely, man. My first comics, I was one of those kids where I thought the better stories were the stories that had the most characters in them, which is it's not true. But when you're young as a kid, you see the Avengers, and you have a choice between the Avengers or X-Men or a Daredevil comic. I'm going to get the X-Men comic. I'm going to get the Avengers comic, and a lot of their stories had those grand epic adventures, and that was kind of what I grew up on. Obviously, then I backtracked into looking at Kirby and various stories, and then of course, the Infinity, not the Infinity, yeah, the Infinity Wars, but also Secret Wars, and again, those stories that had big implications for the entire Marvel universe was the stuff that I gravitated towards.
How about the character of Galactus as a character, as
Mhm.
opposed to this cosmic force
Mhm.
that, depending on the book, a lot of times he doesn't have a lot to say, and it's his actions and devouring worlds and stuff. But yeah, how do you see Galactus in this story?
And that was one of the things that uh, I had the aspect of Doom and wanted to focus on Doom and the relationship with Valeria and the actual Galactus was more of the background character, but getting with Jonathan, we started to have some ideas about really bringing him to the forefront. And I think what he showed, what he presented to me, was some really cool, fresh takes on honestly a character that is kind of he's just a force of nature, but we gave him this, for lack of better words, we gave him this mission, this purpose, and obviously we know his purpose overall, but the thing that takes place in this story, it heightens his overall purpose, if that makes sense. Like he's almost like on the he's on the deep end of this thing. He's going to another level of what his overall purpose is. And
No, I love it. You going? Yeah.
but yeah, so that was the thing that really got me excited, because I quickly came up with some ideas about, there's this device that Galactus knows if he can obtain it, his ultimate purpose will be realized. The purpose that he's been about since the inception of the Marvel Universe, or since his inception, he now can really go all out with what he's known for. And this device, if he can get to it, and again, in the story, you will see him go forth to obtain this device and what he encounters to get it. And obviously, Doom is a part of that opposition to stop him from obtaining that device.
Yeah, I always like when Doom is positioned as more of an adversary than an out and out villain, and certainly it's a personal thing with Doom in this story, and again, people will discover it when they read it. Um, but yeah, I always appreciated Doom 2099 for that same
Yeah,
reason. That it's like, all right, nothing left. My enemies are 1,000 years in the past.
right.
How do I handle this new world that I
Yeah,
am part of and stuff? Yeah,
yeah.
I think it's neat.
That's
I,
interesting. You mentioned that, because that was one of the influences for how I wanted to approach Doom in this story. Is that 2099 aspect? I thought it was just a really cool take that would really fit his opposition to Galactus.
and he's always had that almost Captain Ahab thing of wanting to tap into the Marvel cosmic powers. I mean, I remember that classic issue where he stole the Surfer's powers
Mm-hmm.
and stuff, so yeah, I know it's great, and truly, I mean, I, not the story I would have thought of, and I'm really glad that it occurred to you to like
Mm-hmm.
put him and Galactus together again. And you could really
Yeah.
put Doom anywhere. I mean,
Right.
we've seen it over the years. Time traveling with Iron Man back to Camelot,
Right.
and the other various places and dimensions that
Right.
Doom has gone in and stuff. So yeah, I love it, dude. I think it's terrific. Is it coming out next Wednesday?
May 15th.
Oh, so we're still even more a few weeks away. Okay, very cool.
Yeah, I figured coming to you, getting on your show, will be kind of my launching point for my press tour.
Are you doing other podcasts?
Oh my God, I'm on quite a few.
Good.
I feel like I don't know if you watch, and I'm not saying I'm the artist equivalent to this guy, but Eddie Murphy, whenever he does a film, you never see him. He rarely does interviews, but whenever there's a movie or project that he's working on, you best believe 2 weeks into it, he's going to be before the release date. He's everywhere.
That's true.
So I try to take that approach. I don't do a lot of, at least I haven't done a lot of interviews here in the last couple of years. But something like this, I'm super excited about. And, Marvel, they've been really gracious in connecting me to, all the folks. And it's funny, they had you on the list. They had, I'm like, I know all these guys. Like, you guys can save your press, whatever that is that they do. It's like I already know they got relationships with so many of these podcast folks. But yeah, I'll be doing quite a few.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, man. And I'm glad that, again, that you're always willing to come back here. And it's funny because I won't name the publisher or the press guy from the publisher, but he's like, hey, it wasn't Marvel. But he's like, hey, I don't know if you've, I think he works for Boom, because he's like, I don't know if you've ever had Tony Fleece on, but he's got a brand new series called Feral. And really, I think it'd be a great fit for Word Balloon. I'm like, yeah, I talked to him a month ago. And he's like, oh, God damn it. And he's all mad. And I'm like, listen, I go, you got to understand, I've been doing this a long time. And if I'm friends with the creators, like yourself, it's like, no, man, I'm going to reach out and be like, hey, and it's never with disrespect to the PR people, but it's like, it's just easier. It's my friend. So, hey, come on the show. So I'm really glad you tapped me and are like, hey, I got a new thing in Marvel. I'm like, great.
Right. And and here comes, again, I'm sorry for slamming these guys, but here they come like, oh, we got this great list of podcasts. And I'm like, I'm already done, man. I already got it booked. So thanks for all your expertise. But
it's hard with social media, man. We all become friends, and whereas it used to be like, all right, it's the PR person's job to make the connection. It's like, hey, guess what? We made the connection years ago. It's truly Sanford. I'm so, again, throughout the years that we've talked to each other, I'm really glad that now the big two are recognizing what you can do. Because I remember our early conversations, and you were telling me, as much as you appreciated the jobs, a lot of your early jobs, you were doing like the TV tie-in books with some of the cartoons, and you really had to stay on model to do the Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes tie-in comic, things like that. And so, and I mean, that's the other great thing about this issue of Doom is it's you, man. It's Full Metal Sanford Greene in the best ways. And also, I really think your art style is cool for the environment that Galactus and Doom are working in. And it has this very surreal thing, as opposed to if somebody else, I don't know, like a Paul Galassi were to do this or a Sal Buscema were to do this in a much more traditional house style or more realistic, for lack of description. But I love the spin that you're putting on this story.
Oh, thanks. Wow, you're mentioning some luminaries with Buscema, but honestly, I'm pulling from those guys. I'm pulling from obviously Jack Kirby, that I have right here on the spinner rack. Somewhere over here, there's a bunch of Fantastic Fours and some other. Even this comic is one of my go-tos just for inspiration. The Thing comic and some other.
Sure.
I would spin it around, but I think it makes a lot of noise. It's a little.
It's all right.
But yeah, I have tons of the artist editions, the Jack Kirby editions, and I comb through those and I pull influences from all that stuff. And of course, I use a lot of my spin on what how would Kirby handle this, but with my take to it. What would that look like? And that was this is probably one of the most gratifying projects outside of something like Bitterroot or whatever. This right here almost felt a little like that because I had, again, it was a finite event, but that window was just enough for me to feel this form of autonomy, I guess, to create this story. I was talking to Hickman about that, and I mean, as you can, as you saw in the story, I mean, I threw everything in there. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff in there, and I wasn't usually when I'm, wrapping up a project or if I'm, concluding something. I usually feel like most folks burnt out. I feel like okay, that's over. I didn't feel like that with this project. I felt invigorated and ready to possibly do something else, but that remains to be seen. I have other things on the plate right now, but yeah, it definitely left. I left that project energized, to be honest with you. So
Wonderful to hear.
yeah,
Yeah, that's great. In looking at the spinner rack behind you and that thing, Marvel 2-in-1, I'm assuming issue. That's right there.
Yeah. That's it's my child. It's actually one of my comics from my childhood.
There you. Oh yeah, the classic one, absolutely. Yeah. With him with the boxing gloves on, sure.
Yeah. This right here, as a kid, that fascinated me. That all the strongest characters in the Marvel universe, and the Thing is front and center. And as a kid, my mind was blown because why is he in the front? I mean, why not the Hulk? Why not Colossus or Thor? But he's in the front. So as a kid, I'm like, I gotta pick this up. So that's the kind of stuff that and again, it's the kind of story I kind of was paying homage to some degree in this Doom story, to stories like this. This is kind of like a one and done, but it left such a mark for me that is one of my favorites still. So hopefully, this book will be something like that to someone that picks it up.
Absolutely. I'm blanking on the 2-in-1 artist, Ron's last name.
Oh, this is oh my goodness.
Oh, I'm sorry to put you on the spot as well.
Yeah, no, only because you said Ron, but it's not Ron. It's not Ron Lim. It's
no, not Ron Lim. I was thinking of. Go ahead, tell me who it is.
It's Ron Wilson.
Ron Wilson. Yes, Ron Wilson. Have you met him yet at a show?
I have actually. Ron, as a matter of fact, I inquired about some original art from this issue. He said he had a few.
Wow.
And I am going to be purchasing some of those from him. But I met him a few times at Heroes Con.
Oh, that's great. When I see him at shows, I know based on that cover as well, and of course his graphic novel from the 80s, Super Boxers, who have none of the Marvel Universe characters in it, but it was a Marvel graphic novel. So I always talk boxing when I see him because I know he's still a massive fight fan.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So that's awesome. That's great. No, he's a brilliant artist, and I'm really glad that he's out on the convention circuit and stuff because I think we all know the Sal Buscema's and people like that, and I think sometimes Ron gets missed and should be acknowledged as much as these guys because 2-in-1 was a massive seller, as you well know, when we were kids.
Well, I loved it. That and the Marvel team up with Spider-Man. Again, it goes back to what I was saying when I was a kid. You either get the comic that has one character, or you buy the comic that has multiple characters. So whenever it was just like what do you call those the Cracker Jack? You get the prize. It was kind of cool to go into the drugstore and check out the spinner rack, and you see the latest issue of 2-in-1 or Team Up, and there's some new character that you never seen. At that age, I'm learning. Sure. That's how I learn. I learned from 2-in-1s, and I learned from the official handbook, the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
And the Who's Who, the DC one as well.
Absolutely. 100%, man. James, interesting observation. To me, Doom's fatal flaws is arrogance. Is there any other Marvel character that you think has a bigger ego? No, honestly, I would say Namor. Maybe Namor.
You think Namor? Again, when you read this book, you will understand that there's no bigger ego, only Doom.
Well, you're saying it right for given the fact that you just wrote the book. Yeah, and I used to love. Was it Super Villain Team Up? That it was Namor and Doom.
Yeah.
Great.
I mean, I thought about. I had shout outs to my editor, Will Moss, who he's just crushing it right now with the Ultimates. He's kind of overseeing the Ultimates line.
Yes,
in my opinion, that's such a great alignment of stories and fresh takes. I think that's part of what made telling this story so satisfying was that he saw the potential of it, but he also understood what I wanted to do. He understood that, the strengths that I have, what have you, and he made the right pieces come together for me to be able to tell this story in this unique way, but also it have a purpose, because you can tell the story and it's a one-off and it's cool, but is there a way that we can make this matter? That part I really wasn't even thinking about, but he orchestrated that to pull that together, and of course Hickman tied all the loose ends together.
That's great, man. Matthew acknowledges Ron Wilson as well. He's got his own copy of Super Boxers. That's great to hear.
He actually, I guess this might be we may not want to jump off of Doom just yet, but a great segue to some degree is Ron Wilson did do a variant for Bitterroot. He did.
That's excellent.
Yeah, and he did Jack Johnson as
wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I was going to mention that to you, being that knowing that you're a huge boxing fan. I was going to mention that to you years ago, and of course, the pandemic happened. This epidemic that shut down the earth, and we hadn't really talked since before the pandemic.
I think you're right, man. I know. I had me and a couple of friends were doing those online conventions during COVID.
Yeah.
And I know we had you, Shelley Bond, and David Walker. Mm-hmm. I don't remember if Chuck was with you guys or not, but I know you guys were all together, and you won the Eisner and everything. And let's talk about Bitterroot for a second, because I felt for you guys, man. First of all, that book had a lot of positive heat behind it. Yep. Very well received critically, and it seemed sales-wise.
Yep.
And you guys had a master plan of really taking the book on the road and making people more aware of the real history side that Bitterroot brought to it. As people may or may not remember, Bitterroot, I'm sorry, I don't have a graphic for it, but it's a great series that Chuck and Dave Walker and Sanford all did together to do, look at Black history, but also with a fun family of supernatural beings tied into the real history. Mm-hmm. So that's great. So we were talking off the air. I know you were saying that, obviously you're going to kind of get the engine started again for Bitterroot. What can you tell us about the future plans for the book?
I'm working on it.
I understand. Well, you're the one you're doing that.
I can tell you, I'm working on it. Soon, I hope to. I'm working on it. So yeah, there's some things actually even behind me here. You can't see my desk, but the light that's right here.
Yeah.
That light is shining on my actual. On the table is Bitterroot page for
outstanding
for the new series. So I'm working on that right now. We're hoping more than likely we're going to have a big announcement by San Diego.
Wonderful.
That's the plan.
Okay.
So I'm hoping to pull some things together. And of course, we need our fearless General Shelley Bond, who's the editor for us. She's gonna help us right the ship and get us going again. I mean, we've all been super busy, obviously, with what I've got going on, and David has a few scholastic books that he's working on. Chuck is working over at Dynamite. He's doing a lot of stuff there right now, and I think he just did a DC thing as well. Annual, I think it was annual. But yeah,
Okay.
So we've just been super busy, and I had a meeting with Image yesterday. I think it was yesterday, day before, and one of the things we talked about was just how books like the one that Brian K. Vaughan writes, and it's on hiatus. Saga, and just how books like that are just always there's an audience, no matter how big of a hiatus or what have you. There's an audience, and we have that in Bitterroot. We do have some folks that are patiently waiting, and but I will say this: hopefully, your patience will be well rewarded, because we got a story for you. I could say this, and I'll say this: it takes place in the 1960s, so we're moving the next generation of the family. The Sangrier family is in the 60s, so just think about the aesthetics of that time and throw some monsters and and again we're actually using I'm using Shield, Agents of Shield, Challengers of the Unknown, Jack Kirby influence, Steranko influence type visuals.
Wow.
To bring another take on what these guys do, what this family can do, fighting this infestation of monsters.
That's great. Well, as we know, in the 60s, gee, I'm really sorry nothing really happened in the 60s.
Yeah, it was a little boring. There's a blank.
Sorry, not much happened. Well, and of course, unfortunately, and I would imagine without you spoiling, there are probably some human monsters along with the regular monsters.
Oh, my goodness. There's I have an idea that I need to pitch these guys that I think will just fall right into place, and it's not even a far-fetched thing, which again, it's like history is kind of the best and worst stories. And this took place during that time period that we're going to focus the story. And, again, we're going to just use those moments of history to move our story forward.
That sounds great, man. Here, Vernon Johnson says hello.
Hey, what's up, man?
There you go.
There.
Oh, cool. James wants to know, you'll forgive me, Sanford, because it's kind of a personal tangent, but he says, have you guys ever seen the Ken Burns documentary, Unforgivable Blackness, The Rise and Fall of Jack Johnson? Have you seen it, Sanford?
I have not, but I intend to.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Well, and in fact, you may or may not know, a good portion of Jack Johnson's story happened in Chicago, and our local Chicago PBS affiliate, while the Ken Burns documentary was running nationally, they had a nightly news magazine show called Chicago Tonight, and they had me on a segment promoting the Ken Burns documentary because I wrote and covered boxing for many years here in Chicago. So yeah, I was certainly ready to talk about Jack's time in Chicago and stuff. No, I'm a massive Ken Burns knows what he's doing. I mean, my God, the Ali documentary he made a couple years ago is another great example. He gets it. He really gets it. So, that's funny. Mike says my eyes keep getting drawn to Sanford Spinner Rack like a moth to a flame. Yeah, there's a lot of good here. I'm going to zoom in again. A lot of good books in there, right there. on the front side there. G.I. Joe and X-Men,
kind of my
Avengers.
biggest. These are my. Let's see. I have one side here. I guess.
Yeah,
See,
you could
hear that sound? That's the famous sound. Oh, here's another. Here's another. Are you familiar with this comic?
No, Friday Foster.
So this right here was based off. You may have seen the. Have you seen the? It was a short-lived TV show, with Pam Grier as a reporter. She was kind of like Lois Lane to some degree.
Sure.
Yeah. So
no.
Again, this right here, awesome. Best kept secret, I guess. This worst kept secret at this point, because a lot of people are familiar with the comic series. I got the collection. I bought the collection. I think Ablaze Publishing did the complete collection of Friday Foster, and just kind of a side note, I'm using Friday Foster as an influence for the next Bitterroot series as well.
Outstanding. That's cool.
Yep.
That's really amazing. Oh God, now I'm going to blow his name. Great Chicago reporter for the Chicago Defender, Wendell. I can't think of his name, but he's in the 42 movie that Chadwick Boseman made.
Okay.
About Jackie Robinson, Harrison Ford as well.
Yeah.
And Wendell was his press liaison, and maybe at the time he was writing for the Pittsburgh Courier. I forget which paper he might have been writing for. But as he got older, he was a sportscaster here in Chicago, and really this amazing gentleman, elderly sportscaster. And I knew him just from his TV work, and then found out it's like, no, this was the guy that really kind of tempered the fury over how dare Jackie Robinson enter the majors and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say Wendell Smith. I'm reasonably certain it's Wendell Smith, but he's another great, I think, unsung man in Black American history that deserves props and everything, and really more awareness of his stuff. But that's great. Who who the creative team was on that?
They were. I know the artist is Spaniard.
Okay.
Forgot his name, but you keep having me go through.
I'm sorry, buddy. I'm making you damage your books. I apologize.
You're damaging these books, man. But that's fine. His last name is I'll find it in a second here. I have the actual collection, and I'll grab it in a second.
Well, James wants to know, should we be looking very closely at your spinner rack for hints of all your future projects?
Nope. There's a lot of influence up there, but nothing that would give you any real hints.
Okay.
I told you what I'm working on right now. I mean, there's other things, obviously, some other stuff, but as far as the actual currently, Bitterroot is on the drawing board.
Great to hear, man. No, absolutely. And again, I'm so happy for the three of you guys getting the recognition and notoriety that you have for this series. It's a wonderful series, and it absolutely deserves everyone's attention. And I was happy to spread the word. Oh, okay. Mike Jones confirms that it was indeed Wendell Smith who was that great journalist that helped, with the Jackie Robinson story. Yeah, pretty cool guy. Very, very cool guy. Absolutely. Hey, now, all right, something you and I like, and I'm so glad I finally found it to share with you.
Yeah.
People might be aware, Comic Book Artist, fantastic magazine that John Cook puts out. A few years ago, he put out a documentary about Will Eisner. And along with the video documentary, there were all these great audio interviews that Will did that appeared as articles in the Spirit Quarterly, the Kitchen Sink Press reprints of the Spirit stories and stuff. And Will just sat down with both his idols,
Mhm.
guys like Milton Caniff, and if he didn't talk to Noel Sickles, he certainly talked about him. But
He
also
yeah, Noel Sickles was there. No, Milton Caniff was the one. He was the
talking
one,
about
of course, Kirby and a young, a young Adam. Um, oh gosh, geez, a young Adam.
give
All
me a
right,
book.
so,
Yeah,
so
give me a book, and I might know.
see, I'm gonna get murdered on the interwebs for this one. Oh gosh, Neil Adams. Jeez,
Oh, Neil Adams, sure,
young Neil. Yeah,
absolutely.
young,
Yes,
I wanted to, for some reason, my brain wanted to go Adam Kubert. I'm like, nope, that's definitely not
too young.
not that Adam. But he's a great artist too, man, in his
Phil
own right.
Suling, Phil Suling, the guy
Doing
who
that. Yeah,
not only created the New York Comic Con from the '60s,
yeah.
but also really created the whole. In fact, I know Paul Levitz is like really politicking for
Mm-hmm.
Phil to get into the Hall of Fame this year at the Eisners
Mm-hmm.
because it was so important for the creation of the direct
The
market.
right market, right, right. Yeah, yeah.
So,
He was there. He was on there. Gil Kane. He had an interview with Gil Kane.
yes,
So yeah, it was just like these, all of the who's who, if you want to call it the Mount Rushmore. It really, honestly, was that. I mean, with the exception of maybe a Stan Lee or um, uh, Buscema or something like that. Outside of that, he interviewed all of these luminaries of the field, audio, which was super fascinating. And I had the VHS. I'm sorry, the DVD. VHS and DVDs are pretty much the same at this point, right? I had the DVD, and obviously don't have a whole lot of access to DVD players anymore. I wanted to just try to download. I was looking and searching for those documentaries or that documentation audio. Couldn't find it anywhere. And then it dawned on me, I bet John knows. I bet he knows, or at least has some access to it. And you came through, man.
well, I tried, man. It's the my DVD is sitting in a cardboard box with
Yeah.
other things unpacked. So I didn't even know where to begin to look for it. But thank God. And for everyone listening and watching, go to the Internet Archive and you can find those interviews. And that's what I sent to Sanford. They have MP3 links to all these interviews and they're fantastic. And Bendis made the observation and he's right. And he's like, yeah, figures. One of the creators of the graphic novel, Will Eisner, well, he created podcasting too. And it's like, yeah, you're kind of right, man.
That's exactly what it was. I mean, if you listen to those audio recordings, it really is a podcast. He's just
Yeah.
setting it up, and he does like an introduction, and he introduces the artist, and he goes right into the questions, and it's just like what we're doing right now.
100%.
Back in the 70s.
I'm assuming 70s and 80s. I'm
Yeah.
assuming late
Yeah.
70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it's funny as you say, he doesn't talk to Stan Lee based on these conversations and also that great book of the conversations between Will and Frank Miller. I always get the suspicion that while he respected Stan, he felt Stan was more of a promoter,
Mm-hmm.
a real creator. And I think he, like a lot of other people, would say, the stories and the plots were really coming from the artists at
Mm-hmm.
that point during the Marvel age,
Mm-hmm.
and that Stan was just scripting. Now, I will always give Stan his due
Right.
because, again, I think it is a two-hander as
Mm-hmm.
far as dialogue and art. But I do think that, and again, Stan was the editor in chief, so he is out there promoting and stuff. And I know at one point Stan came to Will about would you be interested in running Marvel Comics and stuff, and of course Will said no, wanted to
Mm-hmm.
create his own stuff and everything. But yeah, I find as a peer Eisner's observations of Stan Lee very atypical and very interesting to examine.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
I'm not sure if anyone's ever presented this idea to you, but I would love to see a Mad Men style show based on that era or even before, like the golden age,
Yes.
that would be pretty awesome. Because I think, especially now, um, it is a part of pop culture. It's not completely, it's just not unknown. People, the average person knows who Stan Lee is. The average person, definitely knows. Um, I've had people that don't read comics. They congratulated me on winning the Eisner. I'm like, you know what an Eisner? Oh yeah, I heard of the Eisner. I'm like, okay, because it's just one of those things. It is it's the thing in our
Yeah.
industry. So, I guess just like winning uh, uh, any other award in any other industry, it's there are certain ones that everybody knows. So it's the same for our industry. So yeah, it would be really interesting. I would love to see something like that.
I agree. I agree.
I'm sure somebody that can get it crowdfunded or something.
Yeah.
Get a pilot going.
Oh no, I hear you, man. Oh, this is great. Here, Brad. Brad wants to give it up for you. Sanford's Justice League 2022 annual, The Return, is the very best use of the Kirbyverse. Outstanding, he says.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, and James would like to also see in the 90s the rise of Image, that kind of documentary or docudrama. Well, again, you're right. Well, first of all, the Eisners are our Oscars when you really come down to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and yeah, people are always impressed with an award tied to a creative endeavor. So I can appreciate all that. But no, I'm with you. I do know of a couple projects. I don't know where they are in development, but also Howard Chaykin's Hey Kids Comics was essentially, kind of fictionalized version of the history of comics. I loved it. I don't know if you read it.
I have it, and I am aware of it, and I would love to someday read it.
I get it, man.
But I definitely have it because I recognized what the story is about, or at least what the book is about.
Yeah. And I blew it, Sanford. Dave Walker was in town and downstate at my alma mater, Illinois State. He was whatever, and I forgive me, I don't remember the name of the film or the documentarian that he interviewed. Mm-hmm. But do you know about this thing that he was doing recently or no?
I know he was traveling to do some talks at various institutions. He's such a jet setter that I can't keep up with the guy. He's frequent flyer miles are out the roof, but
well, he always has my attention when this stuff comes up, and I wish I had known about it in advance because I totally would have made the time. God, he was downtown. He's like 20 minutes away from where I live, and I'm like, I can't make it that night. And then I also found out he was downstate at Illinois State, my alma mater, and I'm like, oh man, David, so close and yet so far.
So far,
yeah. Jeez,
yeah, hopefully one day, we'll be back. The plan is to try to get to something in your neck of the woods. C2E2, I think, isn't it this weekend?
It's this weekend. Absolutely, it is, man. That and also, honestly, because I know Dave is a native of Connecticut, Terrificon, and I gotta get back on Mitch. And truly, when the new iteration of Bitterroot is ready, it would be a great excuse to get you if not all three of you, at least two of you, to come to Connecticut and everything and do that show. Because absolutely, man. Jeez.
I got friends up there. Nick Dragata lives up there. I can see some folks. It's cool. Like my goal, probably more so next year than this year. This year is already over.
Sure. No, I know what you mean.
Next year, definitely, I want to try some shows I haven't really done before, or haven't done in a while. But there's some like Heroes Con, which that's just kind of like me not going to that is like me not coming home, so that's always on the docket. But I would love to do like the Ithacon or Terrificon. I think you just said
right, Connecticut Terrificon. Yeah,
those sound great.
Yeah. Absolutely, man.
We're trying to get out. We're trying to go overseas. Um, we've been talking. We've got invites. We had a lot of invites before the pandemic to go to Italy, to France, obviously, the Angoulême and the Lucca and these places. And then I've been to Thought Bubble recently. I think it was last year, the year before. That was awesome. They treated me great. I love that show. And those guys that run that show it's kind of like a Heroes Con, for the UK, which is kind of cool.
That's great. I've yet to do Thought Bubble. I'm going to do Dublin in August.
Oh, okay.
And seriously, man, I know.
That's cool.
Owen McCauley, one of the organizers, has been asking me to come there since like 2018, and then COVID hit. And so finally I'm doing it in August, and I'm beyond thrilled. And, I'm buddies with Dex Shalvey and Steve Mooney, a couple great Irish artists and stuff. And so like literally like, oh man, I can't wait. I'm like, yeah, me neither, man. It'll be great. So you know how it is. I'm sure. Do you have people in Europe that are friends of yours, you would say, that are based in Europe?
Yeah.
Stuff,
I mean, he's not really he doesn't do a whole lot of comics, but he's really popular artist. Carl Kopinski. He's a part of that Super Annie collective. He's part of the Kim Jong-gi collective. He's part of that group. He's probably the one that I'm the closest to in terms of international. Well, and then if you're seeing just anywhere around the world, Dan Mora, he's fantastic.
Where's Dan based? I don't know where Dan's based.
He's in a Spanish speaking country. I don't want to say it's not Brazil, but it's adjacent. There's it's somewhere.
One of the South American countries.
Somewhere in South America.
Okay, I had no idea. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Dan is out there, I mean, I got a ton of Canadian friends though, so that's the one place that, like, I literally can go there and like every other house is probably someone that I know.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's terrific. I got Fowler and the Immermans up there.
Stewart is cool. He's part of the Felix collective, and so that also kind of bridges a lot of stuff together when we go to various places. Folks that are natives to the area, I don't know if you are familiar with Mateus Bugara. He does the book with Cy Spurrier. Oh my goodness, it's not one small step. It's oh my God, he's gonna get me for this one. But no, he has a really cool book over at Image that is worthless and is fantastic. The storytelling in it is awesome. He's somewhere in South America as well. So yeah, like I said, that's the plan, is to try to get out and see some of these guys. Felipe Andrade, him and Ron V with their story.
I love Ron. Ron's a great
guys. I got a chance to hang out with those guys at Thought Bubble, so that was cool.
Oh, that's great. That's excellent.
Yeah.
Ron was in town last summer for the American Library Association conference, and I've had Ron on many times on the show.
Yeah.
Since becoming aware of him, and he is such a great new voice as far as writers go in comics. I have tremendous respect for him. He's a really, really smart guy.
Yeah, he has some great stuff.
James wants to know if you have any opinions on the future of comics as an art form. He says the digital future doesn't seem to be coming together as we thought 10 or 15 years ago. I'll let you do your thing, and then I've got a thought on this as well.
My thought is the human hand cannot be duplicated literally as well. You know, we talk about AI with hands, right? But the lack of not being able. But I just think, I was actually thinking about this the other day. As an artist, creatively, if I want to do a story with just pencil or ink, or I don't know. I may want to just tell a story one day in color pencil. I don't know. Whatever approach that I want, like I can take the nuances of what I do and implement it into a different medium. And yeah, I mean, you can kind of plug in and what do you call it, word prompt to get some of those things, but there's still something about that human hand that really is going to be darn near impossible to duplicate. I mean, truth be told, I think I can. Someone's posted this photo of these black cowgirls from the 1920s. Just the other day, and I immediately looked at it and said, "Oh, that's AI," because there was just something about it that was a little too perfect for it, and I think that's the part that I don't know, and who knows, it maybe somewhere down the line, the imperfections and the ticks that make make the human hand a unique voice.
Yes.
But I almost I doubt it. You know, because there's just something about that just there's enough of a nuance that no matter how perfect you get, it still is enough of a human uniqueness that will separate that from whatever the digital thing is.
I'm absolutely with you, Sanford, and truly, I don't think there is an AI that could even try to replicate your style. Your style is so idiosyncratic in the best ways, and as you say, what may appear as flaws are there. It's like and in a different way. I remember reading a few people who were critical of the way Chaikin draws faces.
Mm.
And they're all the same. They're all the same. And it's like, no, you're confusing what you see as just monolithic. That's Howard's style.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like nobody draws a face like Chaikin.
Right.
And I'm, but even more so, and truly the Doom comic, I think is a great example. I don't think an AI can replicate what you bring to it. And I think
Right.
both that thing from a just pure art standpoint, but also, listen, the publishers may lean on AI more than we're going to be willing to see, but I think it's going to be a failure because it is that slickness that takes away that spark of whatever the connection is between artist and reader when it comes to comics, that it's not there. It is too impersonal. And I think that on a subconscious level we see that. So there's that, but also, thank God, and I think alongside whatever the big publishers throw at us, people like you, Dave, and Chuck are going to come up with a bitter root. And I'm sorry, that's not going to occur to one of the big two. And you're going to be out there doing it. And again, you're going to have that kind of personal connection with the audience that I think will tide you through these potential challenges that AI present.
Yeah, I teach at a local university here, and I talk to the students, and that obviously they're of that generation where they are on the front lines of this influx of digital manipulation and what have you, and so they are very concerned, lack of better words, threatened about what their future looks like. And truth be told, I couldn't imagine what that would must feel like in that regard when you are literally being you're the thing that you love and you want to turn into a livelihood could, before you even start, can be taken away by some computer whatever.
Yeah.
But that's why to your point, I try to teach these students how to use the raw materials to really understand the importance of pen to paper, literally understanding that and really gaining and learning the nuances of creating and bringing more personality to it. Like you said, the human touch, the human hand will not fall by the wayside, because there will be, and I think that's part of what even working with Felix and what he does with the original art. I think you see and just all of that entire um, that's an industry if you're being honest, because
Selling original art. Yeah.
yeah, the value of it is you see the appreciation for it, because I think the understanding of how this is going to be a thing that is really uh, a precious commodity um, in so many ways. So just really tapping into that and making yourself viable by working in the medium, in creating, from the actual from analog is, I think, a way to combat a lot of those concerns.
I agree.
There will be people that will appreciate that. There's tons of people that appreciate that.
Well, it's funny. I'm looking around my living room right now, and all the original art commissions I've gotten over the years. I always say that's like a private performance. That's like me going to Springsteen and saying, "Hey, can you sing Born to Run on your acoustic guitar for me for real fast?" And you guys do it. And I mean, I've got I'm looking at right now my Mike Grell Green Arrow and my Gabe Hardman Captain Comet and my Tony DeZuniga Jonah Hex and Gene Colan Blade that are among my pieces on my walls. And yeah, man, it really is. It's a private performance, and I appreciate that. And no AI can give you that same kind of feeling. So yeah, I don't know. Again, it may be John Henry against the steam shovel. I don't know.
I think about that story often. I mean, even, you were talking about the private performances. I mean, look, this has been a battle for the arts against any kind of advancement since the beginning of time, and the creators and the artists of the first century had to deal with this on some level. So we continue to adapt and evolve, and we rise above all of it every time. So there's that understanding that's what needs to take place at this juncture as well.
I have to ask before we wrap. Secret Sauce, right? Isn't that your studio?
Ooh, yeah, it's no longer a studio, man. I killed that off because I got too much to do, man. It's like trying to that was a what do you call it? That was one of those shooting for the stars kind of ambitious things, and I did it, and we were successful for a minute, but I realized that I have to put 100% into that, and I just didn't have and it wasn't fair for anyone that was a part of that for me to be partially in and not really involved as much. So
okay,
we all went our separate ways on that one.
well, I'm sorry to hear that, but also that animation's loss is comics gain.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, no, all right, well, that's good. But again, in general, I'm just so thrilled that the big two are recognizing what you can do. And we'll all look forward to May 15th with Doom coming up. That'll be great. You and Jonathan Hickman, a fantastic Marvel one-shot cosmic story with future story implications as the story unfurls. But it is Doctor Doom and Valeria versus Galactus, and pretty neat.
Yes.
Great concept, great, beautiful storytelling, both the words and the art. Well done, Sanford. Truly.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate everything, man.
Well, and I appreciate you coming back and listening to my BS when we.
Yeah, I tune into you often as I try to get through pages in work in the evening time. Uh, if I'm sitting and I'm having a bit of a block, I say to myself, you know what? It's time to listen to John talk about some nostalgia, something random. Like he's just an encyclopedia of knowledge for pop culture. It's pretty awesome stuff.
Useless information, or me ranting about Star Trek. Absolutely,
Oh
man.
yeah. Look, I'll be the first to admit I'm not a
That's
Trek
all
guy.
right.
I'm barely a Star Wars guy, but
Is there, well, and again, because this is a sci-fi story beyond Marvel Cosmic or DC Cosmic, is there a franchise or like were you a Dune guy at all, or any of the other famous
oh,
sci-fi
Dune,
things?
Dune, Dune, Dune.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. No, I mean, if anything, it would be Star Wars. It's kind of like the.
Okay,
Sorry,
sure.
I'm not too deep when it comes to.
Yeah.
I like sci-fi well enough, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, again, you do it well. That's good. Well, then maybe you don't have the Star Wars, Star Trek influences in your sci-fi work, so
Mm.
that's all right. That's great. Hey, I'm sure I know I'll see Art and Franco this weekend, and I'll let
Yeah.
them know that you're doing well and everything because they love you. You know that.
Yeah.
So
That's cool. Real cool.
we gotta. It's hard because although you guys are on the East Coast, or you're on the East Coast, and Franco's on the East Coast,
Mhm.
they would love to have you on one of our BS shows when we all just get together and start, yelling at each other. So I don't know if your
You guys,
schedule allows for
you
it.
do that.
Well, it usually pops up, but like we usually start at 9. Well, right when we're starting, like 9 Eastern and everything. So I'll let you know on the next time we all maybe are trying to get together to throw you in there because they love talking to you. You know that.
Yeah.
So
Look, I would love to do it. I think over the last, honestly, since the pandemic, I've gotten even more busy with all kinds of stuff, and then my kids are getting older, and
yeah,
sports stuff, and life, and you know, um,
Dad's
I
got to drive everyone around. I can appreciate that.
oh no, they drive themselves, buddy.
Oh, do they drive? Okay, that's
Well, at least one does. One does. The other
all
one,
right.
he's not there. He's not there yet.
All right.
But still, just just doing the family thing and trying to keep my head above water, and then also worked on the Spider-Verse movie that's gonna crank up again. So yeah,
God, I'm glad you mentioned it, Sanford. I'm really glad you mentioned that. Yes, so you're
yeah,
involved in the coming Spider-Verse movie.
yeah. I did the second one that just aired, and looks like I'll be back for round 3.
Outstanding, man. That is so great. Do you have any anecdote about before we wrap about working on the movies?
It was awesome. It was an awesome experience. I at first I was excited, obviously, but I was also cautious about what it could mean in terms of the demand of it, and it was demanding, but not in the way that was taxing. Everyone is a fan of this medium, so they and they're artists themselves for the most part. The 3 writers that's a part of it, and the and Phil Lord, those guys are all artists, so they really appreciate the comic aspect of this, the art aspect of it. So anytime that we would come together for meetings, it was ideas, but it was ideas that was very artistically driven. If you look at the film, you can see that obviously. So it really inspired me to push myself even more. So
That's amazing, man. No, truly, the first two have just been incredible, and they're game changers. They really
right.
are animation game changers, and the boldness of a lot of the art, sequential and just art choices in general that they make in the movie and stuff beyond just a traditional two dimensional or not two
Yep.
dimensional, but whatever the animation is
Yeah,
that carries the story. But yeah,
yeah, it's the two D
it
with
is 2D.
3D kind of mapping elements to it, which is you're starting to see what this animated film has done. It really has revolutionized animation, especially here stateside, actually abroad as well. You're starting to see a lot more animation projects take on this approach. I think the Blue Eye Samurai is kind of similar. They use a lot
Love
of
it.
yeah, they use a lot of those similar approaches to animation.
I also thought on Disney XD, the Moon Girl Devil Dinosaur series seemed to take a bit from that first Spider Verse movie in terms of, again, just bold art choices
Mm-hmm.
beyond the traditional way that animation has been done for decades.
Mm-hmm.
And it really, again, it's very, very exciting. But I'm so glad you mentioned Blue Eyed Samurai.
Mm.
I was a latecomer to it. Franco kept telling me how great it was, and then I finally watched it, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh my God, this is amazing. So yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely it's I think we're in a I don't know if you want to call it a Renaissance phase, but it might be that because we got Spider Verse, one aspect of animation. Then you got another aspect of Blue Eye Samurai, and then you got X-Men '97, and just what that is bringing back, and it all unique approaches to animation, and they're all successful. So yeah, we're in a good place.
We're in a real good place. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's not AI stuff. There might be something in there, but that's all humans doing that stuff. So
Well, and I'm glad you're part of it, dude. So really, congratulations on that. And again, everybody, May 15th, that one shot of Doom, John Hickman, Sanford Greene at their best. You don't want to miss it because more story to come as we are learning. Thank you, man, for coming on. Really appreciate it. For the Word Balloon audience, Tuesday, I am not going to release a video. Wednesday night, though, another guy that's killing it, certainly made his mark at Marvel and now is killing it at DC. Jason Aaron is going to be joining us. So that should be a really nice conversation. I'm looking forward to it. I've missed Jason, so I'm glad he's back. So until then, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy.